What is up, everyone? Welcome to the first ever episode with
the Modern Framily.
Woo-hoo! It's here,
baby. Let's
Summer
go.
2025. We launched a podcast. Can you believe it?
No.
I literally haven't even lived in the same city as y'all for a year, and we're already launching podcasts.
He's like, I have an idea. Let's make a pod.
What's year 2 gonna bring? But for real, I am so excited for everything that's to come with this season. It's gonna be absolutely epic. We're doing some bonus episodes on YouTube with the entire family. We're doing
Lord.
all girls tell all episodes. We're doing the dudes, like the husbands telling you what they're really thinking. It gets spicy. It gets fun. It gets deep. There are tears. We have some really powerful stories to share. It's going to be just overall, I think, a really fun and unique season. I think for me, I will say when 23 Media, when they approached us about doing a podcast, I was a little unsure just because I feel like right now I'm always someone that's a little against the grain. I like to see either one, I like to do it when it's like getting made fun of a little. So it's like, oh, it's like so early that people are going to kind of pick at you for it. Like Aaron, he's always picking at me for stuff. I like, bro, why you got Crocs on? Are you 13? You know, that kind of stuff. And like, or I like it to like ride out. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. With podcasts, I feel like it's just like we're in the thick of podcasts, like everyone's doing it. But I was like, are there anyone out there who's ever launched a podcast with their entire friend group?
With 22 people.
Yeah. And like, you know, now we all have 28 kids total and just something really unique. And so how this started, I'll just get into that really quick. But before I do that, actually, we are not married. And I know it's interesting because it's 2 guys and 2 girls, especially if you're watching on video. It could be safe to assume like, oh, it's about a family, but like we're a family. We're friends. And there's a reason specifically, you know, too many voices can get crazy on an episode. And so when I was thinking about moderating for this first episode, I each hand selected. Y'all don't even know this.
I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, why am I in the first?
Why'd you pick? No, Lauren, you're like, so why'd you pick
so
me?
why did you choose me?
Out of everyone, why am I here? No, I picked each of the people to launch the podcast at this table for a very specific reason, and I'm going to tell you why. So, Brogan here. So, Brogan, I feel like you're kind of the origin of the group, like
the matriarch.
Yes. Like you are like in the Genesis, in the beginning, there was Brogan. That's like kind of like as I've learned more about the friend group, like you and Russell, your husband, shout out Russell. He's in episode 2. Don't worry. Y'all kind of were there at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aaron, similar reasons. Aaron and I go all the way back to college. Best man at my wedding, moved off to Austin, and I was jealous for all these years because I saw Aaron join this friend group in Austin, and you've definitely been there from the beginning. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted like different couple dynamics to represent. So you two kind of like are representing like history that we just don't have. Like we don't know really how the friend group started. And I want both of you from your unique, you know, perspectives to speak to that on behalf of you and your spouses, and the impact and all the things. Lauren, you're here for the fun. Okay?
Yeah, we've got the drama in the middle.
Yes,
we're stable on the outside.
We're here to get rowdy.
Okay,
and we're here to I feel like we're great.
Okay,
like
I actually took a peek at your notes. The only thing I saw was Lauren sass.
I told you not to look at my notes. So like you're here for some of the hot burning questions, all that kind of stuff. Just
Aaron, don't get mad at me.
Yeah,
no, don't worry.
Okay. And then I'm really just here to moderate. I'm the newest one to the friend group. And so I'm here to like kind of talk about the beginning of the Modern Family, but then I'm just kind of here to like pull things out of y'all. So that's why I'm here.
Well, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
Yeah.
Because the Modern Family wouldn't exist.
Also, whenever you say like, I'm new here, I'm like, I know. I feel like I've known you for 200 years.
Yeah, but
that's just JD though.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, so let's just really quick, Brogan, Lauren, JD, Aaron. So that's the people you'll be hearing if you're watching. You'll see that. Also, this will be on YouTube as well for our Spotify listeners. And hopefully you're also watching. If you're listening from Apple Podcasts, you can watch it on Spotify and YouTube. So I'm just going to let everyone know that. It could be helpful in future episodes. I'll just say that for now.
And we will have bonus episodes on YouTube. Is that
bonus
right?
episodes will be on YouTube. Like I said, those are the really rowdy ones. So be looking out for those as well in our YouTube. And so I just wanted to start with kind of bringing people in on like, what is this? I think it's really important to go like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the purpose? What's the mission? And just kind of bring people in a little bit behind the scenes of how we got here today. So there's the way the Modern Framily itself started actually is really not that deep. It was actually because of Instagram reel we made with the parents, and then all of our kids were in it, and it went super viral.
Like in a good and bad way.
Yes.
Yes, so true.
And that's kind of what we're going to get to in a second, is like, it made a lot of people have a lot of questions just seeing like
confusion. Just like confusion.
A lot of like young adults together, like
with a million kids,
all these kids. And it's just like, some people were like, this is the best promotion for birth control I've ever seen, you know? And then other people are like, this is like all I ever want. Yeah. And it's like, there's like two very contrasting things. And what I saw when I saw just the virality of that very simple reel, but I think it wasn't, to us, it feels just very normal because we're always around the chaos.
Didn't think anything of it.
Truly. But to outside, I realized just how uncommon it is for people to have genuine community. And I want to go ahead to start off by saying that you aren't lacking community just because maybe you don't have 28 kids running around and 40 people in the crew and doing big group things all the time. Like, community can look like so many things for so many different people. But I really feel like, honestly, it's been longer than this, but since COVID, there was just a shift in community, I think. And it was already like a dying art and like value, I think, for people to do things like around dinner tables and face-to-face and like the social media age. But really, that year where we were physically isolated, I feel like the art of life-on-life community and friendship really, really suffered. Mm-hmm. And so I saw, like I said, all the attention that reel got, and everyone's just kind of like, whoa, what is this?
Right.
And I was like, we should just let people in on what it is. And hopefully the purpose behind it is to be a light in a sometimes dark world, a dark space on social media and in podcasts, be a light, but also to inspire people. Mm-hmm. I think people should be inspired to get back with other people and to do in-person friendships. Yeah, in-person friendships, and just to do things less on your phones and more like together.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting too, just because it's like, it felt like whenever that reel was posted, you mentioned both sides. It's like people that like loved it or like really desire that idea. And then you saw people that were like attacking it, but you almost feel like it was out of desire for it and that they didn't have it.
Absolutely.
And it reminded me of just like how thankful I am that we do have a large group of friends that have all like synced up. But again, to your point, it doesn't have to be that way. But I definitely think that that's in such an interconnected world, at least like through our phones and all that socially, it feels like people have lost actual social, personal connection. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why, like, you know, like we want to encourage in that. And
yeah, no, I love it. I think, so before we get to like more, we're already getting kind of into it. Let's pause and let's just address some of the questions. We talked about this in our big group episode that will be on YouTube, but I want to talk about it a little bit more here. So let's address some of those questions head on that people, when they saw us, were confused. I will say that reel was posted right on the cusp of Mormon
Oh, Secret Wives of Mormon. What is it?
But they were
Secret
called Mom Talk or no.
Yeah, Mom Talk, Mormon Mom Talk or whatever it was.
We sound so old.
A bunch of Mormon wives.
Honestly,
what's that social media app with the Mormon moms?
But regardless, there's just so many documentaries and stuff about like cults.
Yes, that all, and it really
people love it.
We didn't think about it, but it was like it was like 15 came out in a row, and then we were like, let's just put this out there. And everyone was like, is this the next like? Is this going to one day be a Netflix documentary and like whatever? So the first question is, are we a cult? And by definition or, whatever. And I actually think as y'all discuss, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I'm going to give them the facts about who we are. And I'm going to ask, would you define us as a cult? And we'll see what ChatGPT says.
I don't want to know what it says.
Would y'all say we are a cult?
No.
Hard no.
Okay. Well, why?
Well, one, a cult has a central leader that is manipulating everybody to do the same thing. And that's absolutely not what we have. But what else?
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, they're like, you're like, that's.
You're like,
what else?
Lauren's like, but JD is.
No, I'm not a cult leader.
But there's also, I mean, that like you look at a cult and obviously it's a group of people that are like spending a lot of time together. And so that's why people would come at this as like, this is a cult, because it's a big group of people spending a lot of time together. But to Brogan's point, like we're not doing anything weird.
Yeah.
We're not like, there's not like a, something we're trying to force feed to make everybody believe, or we're holding people hostage in an area, or, manipulating anybody or anything like that.
And a cult too, it's like, you have someone leading, trying to get everyone on the same page and like brainwashing them into a certain arena. And we are all people that come from different places that all believed the same thing. And the Lord organically put us in, intersected us. And it's not like we came into this and then we all started to believe the same thing and became the same person. It was, we were all that before, and now we just bettered ourselves by doing it together.
Yeah.
So no, we're not a cult.
Okay, well,
what's
here's
ChatGPT?
I asked ChatGPT. I said, if we are a friend group of 20 couples with 28 kids living near each other, having the same religious beliefs and raising our kids in the same way, does that make us a cult? Great question, and one that's actually more nuanced than it might seem on the surface.
True.
Short answer, not necessarily. So, okay.
There we go. Thanks, chat.
Having a close-knit community, this is kind of cool. Having a close-knit community of like-minded people with shared values, religious beliefs, and parenting styles does not automatically make you a cult.
Okay.
What you've described could easily be a strong, supportive community.
Amen.
Something many people long for, especially in an increasingly individualistic world.
Dang.
Yeah, that's exactly what
What?
I did not even expect. I honestly didn't think it would be that
You're
far.
wanting it to be more cozy.
literal fire.
Hey, also, what's the first, the term cult typically refers to a group with authoritarian leadership.
Yeah. Okay,
guys.
So we're not
There
a
we go.
cult.
We're not a cult.
Well
done, guys.
I think convince ourselves.
Yeah. But the reason why, I will say the reason why we're joking is because of the next two questions.
Yes.
Do we have plans for any type of arranged marriages or want that?
Yes.
Okay, we kind of got in trouble because last time at the same time, Brogan and I
both said yes.
So let's elaborate on that. Are we actually going to arrange for our children to get married? No. Would it be awesome if our kids did end up getting married?
A dream.
It's a dream. Like, I can't think of anyone else. I'd rather my kids. Is that a
Well,
word?
then you get to spend forever together. Like,
yeah, like
us too. I'm like family
we hang out with
vacations
each
for
other
life.
for a reason.
I actually just heard Aaron before this episode say to your daughter, I don't know what you were talking about, but you said, well, you're my future. What'd you say?
I said, you're my future daughter-in-law, so you better give me a hug. But here's why.
See? Here's the story.
Because the other day we had the baby shower for y'all, and Charlie, my son, came up to me. He's 5, and he goes, Dad, can me and Livy get married one day when we're older? And
they have to ask because they don't know if they're actually blood relatives.
Yeah.
Some are related.
We have to tell them, like, they're your cousin.
Who you can.
So a little more context to that. So if you're new to us, there are siblings within the friend group.
Yeah.
And so there are people that are actual blood related.
Yes.
So it can get confusing when we all call each other aunt and uncles.
Yeah.
Well, who's actually blood related to me and who's not?
So that's probably why he was asking.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
clarity.
So that happened the other day, and I was like, yeah, sure, buddy, absolutely. And then he actually came back, just funny. Steiner, his cousin, was like, you can't marry Livy because she's your cousin. And she's not actually his cousin.
Like,
so
no.
he came back and was like, Steiner's telling me that I can't. And I'm like, dude, don't worry. Y'all aren't actually related. So you're good.
Yeah. So Brogan's husband, Russ, is an engineer, which I literally found that out. Like, I've known him for 6 years. I'm like, you're an engineer, right? Anyways, I asked him to compute like a sheet with his bots in his brain or whatever.
He coded it.
He coded it and he came up with all the possibilities of the couples for our children. But also, I'm sure ChatGPT could do this, but gave him like, but these two people are related. These two people are related. And it spit out like 178 possibilities of couples.
We have a large chance, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, there's what? How many kids do we have currently and on the way?
28 total. Like,
28.
yeah. So it's bound to happen.
I think it's going to be really interesting.
Oh, no.
Like as our kids get older,
There's going to be
when
drama.
they start having like
Yes. Yeah.
feelings and two guys are both looking at the same girl and like us as parents having to like sit down and be like, hey, like our kids are fighting and there's drama and like we have to like figure it out together.
So some of the moms have actually like seriously talked about this, and I don't know if we're going to really do this, but I think like dating is kind of just going to be off limits. Like at least for my family, like
For a
we're
while.
not doing that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're not like we're all going to be friends, and until they're like at least college, where like that can actually
Lauren getting controversial out of the gates.
Oh.
That's
I
a
love
big,
You
that's a
know,
big statement.
Oh,
there's
is that
diff-
controversial?
Oh,
Not, well,
Not
in the world.
A lot of people would say
yeah.
you should let your kids date whenever they want to.
Oh, absolutely not. Okay.
We're gonna say that for another episode. I actually have thought like, well, yeah, like, I don't know if I will let my kids date until college.
I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Each other,
but
especially.
maybe let's have like an own episode. About
There's a big conversation around.
yeah,
that we
I think
have.
it'd be a really good conversation. So
Yeah.
we should have that. Drop in the comments when you think your kids should start dating. Let us know. Okay, so arranged marriages. The answer would be ideal, but obviously
No.
the nuance. We're not going to force
Yes.
anything. But also, like, we're out here like acting like, oh no, taboo. But there are literally religions and like
Yeah.
cultures that do arranged marriage and they see it as a beautiful thing. So I don't know why we're like so. I don't know. I feel something in me is like, oh, am I going to be like people are going to come for us? But it's like, wait, and are they coming for this entire people group?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's like popular Netflix shows like Indian matchmakers
Yeah, absolutely.
that the whole point is to do an arranged marriage. So we'll see.
Not us. but-
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
That's just the first question.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to buy a large chunk of land and build like a compound and all live like in a community on the same plot of land? Would
So
that
again-
be, would you want that?
a dream.
Yes.
Like that would be incredible.
Would be pretty
That would
epic.
be amazing.
It would be epic. I do think there would have to be like, well, it's funny if you think about it. A lot of us are in this neighborhood
Yeah.
and we're technically doing that.
Yeah.
Think about
Yeah.
it. It would just be trees separating us versus other homes. Like,
Again, my
There would
dream.
definitely have to be like natural boundaries.
but
Like,
I'm saying that we kind of
Aaron's
already,
like, I need some privacy from
Pushing.
people.
but if you think about it, we already are kind of existing. Like it's just in the gates of a
Yeah.
neighborhood. It's kind
Yeah.
of like we already figured out. Like I honestly thought when I moved here last summer, like I was going to be just bombarded by everyone all the time, way more. And it's actually like everyone's got their own
Mhm.
yeah.
stuff going on. I do think it would be weird though if like I'm walking to my car in the morning and all the dads are like,
Hey,
you know, and I,
where are you going?
And I like we all like,
So why would Lauren and I actually love that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I would love it.
It would be weird if we had like houses that were connecting and there was
Yeah.
a walkway.
Oh yeah,
you
not
know?
like
Yeah.
one big home. Everybody has their
Well,
own
what was the
wing.
Waco thing that happened years ago? They all
Yeah.
lived in the
Yeah.
same building.
Right.
Yeah, I'd prefer to have my own house.
Yeah.
Some of us do need they need to retreat, but I mean, Britt, like we showed up to your house at like 10 the other night. We stayed till 2. Britt fell asleep on accident. Like,
Brett
stuff
was
like,
like,
that
I was like, I
happened.
think they're spending the night.
Yeah,
I,
we're
don't know.
like,
I looked at
I
dinner. I
don't
was
know.
like, do we just let them stay here?
We're like, we brought our pajamas just in case you
Yeah.
invited us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. So I think that's just like, we'll end it there, but that is some of the stuff that I think people look at and like kind of
Yeah.
joke with and mess with. And like, I do think there are other literal cults out there that do some of that stuff, but obviously it's way different. So no, we're not a cult. And we just love each other and we're great friends.
Just close.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on, I would love for Brogan and Aaron just to speak to how, like I said, we're new. Like Lauren and I were, Lauren, even me more than Lauren, newer to the friend group. How did we'll just call it for the sake of clarity, the Modern Framily, we'll just call everything we do on Thursday nights and everything together. How did that start here in Austin?
Mm-hmm.
So You mind if I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, this was 2016. Addie and I, my wife, we moved from college to Austin. And in college, you were there, so you know, we had a really big community of people that we led and that we lived life with. And it was really like a mini church. I mean, there was 100-something people showing up on a regular basis. There was like a core group of 20 leaders that we were really close with. And so community became a really huge part of our life. When we moved to Austin, it was like we stepped out of this amazing, healthy community in college, and then all of a sudden we were just by ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was miserable. It was a tough time of life. Like we needed people. Like that was one thing that was really missing that could have been really supportive for us that we really didn't have. And what started happening is in our desire for that, we obviously knew Brogan and Russell because there's a familial relationship there. And so we knew Brogan and Russell.
We're married to siblings.
Yeah. So basically that allowed for us to say, well, hey, y'all are close. We lived 10 minutes away. So we started spending time with Brogan and Russell and kind of tapping into the community that y'all had already through like college friends and people y'all were here with. And so that was kind of the like initial start. Yeah. And then it evolved from there, which we'll get into. But that's kind of how we just started spending a lot of time with Brogan and Russell and then Jackson and Blaze. Blaze is Brogan's sister. So we started spending a lot of time together, and that was kind of how it started. And then they were in a community group already and had a group of people that they were meeting with. So we tapped into that and then it evolved from there.
Can y'all explain what you mean by community group?
Yeah. So we basically would meet regularly, typically once a week, and do essentially like a Bible study and fellowship. And we started with a group from our church that we loved desperately, but honestly, a lot of them lived farther out. And so we weren't doing regular life in between those week points. And then when we brought them in, we kind of had a discussion of what would it look like for us to start our own as a core group. And that was where it was all family members. So there's siblings and spouses. And there were 6 of us, I guess.
Yeah.
And at that point, we only had 2 kids. And Stone was the oldest, and he was 2, and Worth had just turned 2.
That is insane to think about.
They're both 9 now.
Because
actually, when we started meeting, that's wrong.
They were
born when
they
we
were
started
born
meeting.
that year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about when you joined, they were 2. But they were born in 2016, which was the year that we all started meeting regularly.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So they've literally, this is another cool aspect that we'll talk about more, but they have literally grown up. This has been their rhythm since the moment they entered the world, which I think is so cool.
That is really cool. And so since then, that's been how many years since then?
9.
9 years.
In 9 years, you've gone from 2 newborns to 28.
Yes.
And the friend group has just exploded.
Yes.
And there's just to bring clarity, there's we do Thursday nights is our weekly touch point.
Yes.
And once a month, we try to do split where just the men meet and just the girls meet. But we meet routinely. We fight for that. And it's a sacrifice, especially as life goes on every Thursday night. And then we don't just stop with that. We do so many things, like the real life in between.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I have 2 questions. So the first is, what would you say to the person right now who's maybe exiting college, or they are in a place they just moved for work, or anyone right now that is in the place that you described where you were so alone, maybe you're newly in marriage and all your friends were single and they're still single, or whatever it is, what would you say that person should do to just start maybe navigating more intentional friendships and community?
I mean, the thing that I'll say is like when we were in that place, when we started getting together with Brogan and Russell, like we didn't know Brogan and Russell very well. So it wasn't like we were already close friends and we were like, well, let's just start hanging out more. It was like, we had to step out of our comfort zone a little bit to be like, hey, like we want to prioritize this. We need this. We know y'all to a degree. We'd love to get to know you better. And so I think that is just such a pivotal step. It's really, really easy for us as human beings to stay in our comfort zone or to just use the guise of I'm an introvert or that's just not me or whatever. And it's really easy to just stay in that and then look up and be like, wow, I've been solo for so long. And me and Addie could have very easily done that.
Yes.
But we had to make the intentional decision that we're going to step out of our comfort zone to go pursue something that we desired. And it doesn't look the same for everybody. Like, I mean, there's so many different ways that could look, whether that's like, checking into a church and just trying to like connect with people, or through work, or through whatever other extracurricular activities, neighbors.
Yeah.
Like just something to just step out and say, I'm going to get uncomfortable so that we can connect with people. I would say is like a pivotal first step, or it likely never happens.
I think on top of that being the first step of like vulnerability, a little bit of humility to go like, I haven't built friendships here and I'm like seeking that out, And you might realize that maybe they're not the people and you move to you go to the next. But thankfully we did click and we did vibe, and it started where we didn't know each other super well. But I think the second step is begin meeting consistently. Like pretty much the entire time that we started becoming friends, we had a weekly touch point. And if you don't do that, well, there's two parts of it. But if you don't do that, it's really easy to let life happen in between. And then you look up and it's been 3 months since you've connected.
Right.
And so then you lost that momentum. But secondly, when other people do enter in, which we'll talk about with y'all, it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, we meet every week on Thursday nights. We'd love for you to come. And it feels so less intimidating to them because it's like, oh, they already do it. Like, I'm just going to show up. That's cool. And I just feel like that's such a beautiful way to start intentional community. If you lack the consistency, when that's why we fight for it so much, then it will just, like everything else, crumble.
It'll just fizzle out. Or even if you just like let things get in the way of like, well, the kids are this, or they've got this, or they're tired. Yeah, like it's really easy for that.
That leads me to my second question, and I love always when you talk about this too. I think this is something that you've really been amazed by, and we're going to, after this, go into how you got your story specifically with the crew. But how the heck then do you make a weekly touch point work after work with 28 children? And like you have four of those 28. Yeah. So tell them about what we do and the sacrifice it is for that community.
It's a sacrifice, but something that Brogan said earlier is so true. Like, it's all my kids have ever known. It's all we've ever known, like, as being parents. So, like, every Thursday, that's just, like, what we do. And there are kids in closets, laundry rooms, bathrooms stacked. I mean, beds are all stacked. It probably is crazy. And I don't think we can do it like this forever. Most of them are really little. But we make the sacrifice, and my kids just sort of know, like, this is what we do on Thursdays, and it has allowed them to be more adaptable. Like, they can pretty much go anywhere because we consistently do this on Thursdays. So you get off work.
Yeah, practically.
Get a little bit more color. Like, you get off work. Britt gets off work. Yes. The girls have dance.
Yeah.
And then
Thursday's like a whole thing.
You eat happy hour appetizers at Jack Allen's.
Literally, we walked in the other day and I was like, I'll have a table for 6. She's like, I know, I remember you. I was like, we go there every Thursday.
Yeah. And then you eat dinner and then you go, like, let's say that week it's at Brogan's house.
And we switch off houses.
And you kind of let people know who's coming, like where they're going to be.
Yeah. We have sleeping
arrangement.
So it's
which is a whole thing. It's a spreadsheet.
Yeah. It's like there's like the master bedroom, the closet, the guest bedroom, the office. And it's like, we know when we get there, you're bringing a pack and play, a sound machine,
brush your teeth, put on your pajamas.
You're bringing the monitor and you're getting them in PJs. And then it's like from 7:30 to 8
is like the times when parents put them to bed.
Yeah. It's like chaos. It's
definitely chaos.
We're not talking. Everyone's like,
we try to like also respect the people who don't have kids, that like they aren't doing what we're doing. So we try to really hard to like be on time and do that.
But it is a process.
It's
for
a
sure.
process, yeah.
And then also, like, I mean, I know for us, like, terrible first sleeping child, it's like, you just don't know. You can't force. It's not like 28 perfect children that you bring into a new environment, and they're because like people probably listening and thinking, not my kid.
Yeah.
And we have had to figure, first off, she wasn't born into it, but secondly, she just I can't explain it. She just needs her her thing. And when I mean, I have been in your bedroom closet, Brogan, praying, God, please just let her supernaturally fall asleep. And it's like, I'm sweaty and it's like so hot.
And you're like, I want to tap out. Who else can do this?
And I don't know their closet well. So it's just pitch black. And I'm like, I can't, something. And I'm rocking her. And then and I'm putting her down like a ninja. I'm like, every
That's
move.
The worst,
it's
honestly.
so, and then the door. It's like, and she's like, wah! And you're like, oh my gosh, another.
And then you're wondering what everyone's like, is everyone getting deep in there?
Yes.
It's funny though, because
you hear everyone laugh and you're like, I'm missing. Oh, I'm texting Jenna so mad.
What's funny about that is though, I would say everybody in the groups had that experience at some point, regardless of if our kids were, born into it and just got used to it. I will say though, to Lauren's point, it has made my kids more adaptable. It is easier for me to go do this or go on trips or move from house to house, and get them back to sleep. That has been a blessing. And yes, there's been hard times. And
this week, Charlie,
he wasn't feeling great. So he was in and out the whole time. Well, now is at the age where I can be like, hey, lay on the couch right there. He feels like he's still there, but he can relax. So it's it happens.
And a point to that is I do think parents that aren't used to parenting in community, you put this
pressure
burden on yourself that you feel I'm so sorry, guys. And, and I think a lot of people don't give community a second chance or church a second chance because
they're embarrassed.
Because the first bad experience. You take your kids to be dropped off at children's church and they freak. And it's then you're we're never going to show our face again. And that's just not, you cannot have long-lasting community with that mentality.
No, right.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think we're all when Charlie comes, let's say someone's having this deep moment, and if Charlie were to come out and be like, Dad, and interrupt it, let's just say it, interrupts it, do you think any of us are
no one who's
no one is, it's we're just so, it's we're all in it. So it's who's gonna care?
I think every Thursday too, there's someone rocking a baby listening. We just, or the other day, Jessie one of the girls couldn't get her daughter to sleep. So we just switched off. I was like, you take a break. I'm going to go try. We just do that. There's so much grace there for the kids.
Me and my wife had the convo man, it's just so tough for her. And that affects, for me, I go to work the next day. Jenna has to deal with, if she didn't go to sleep well, she has to deal with that. And I hear that in her. And I think something for me is we had this talk of if we need to start budgeting to get a sitter, if that's just what for us it takes, we have just decided we will do what it takes to be able to actively be a part of this group.
Yeah.
And I think that's another point I would make is it's just
worth it.
Are you willing to do what it takes?
Yeah. And I think that's becoming the needed reality in a lot of cases, because 3 years ago there were 15 kids and there were enough closets and bathrooms and all the things. But now it's there are so many kids that there are a handful of people that are already doing that. And, but they choose to do it because they value the community.
Totally.
They value that night.
So just to keep this thing going, I know we have a hard stop at 2:45 because
dance recital.
Lauren has to get to her daughter's dance recital.
Second one of the day.
But Lauren, tell just a quick version. We can do a more
we're good.
Long one, but just because I think my next question is it looks like if you started with 6 couples or whatever, or 3 couples, 6 people, now we're at, I don't even know how many. A lot more. At what point does it ever need to stop? Is it ever okay, there is now no more friends? And if someone were to come and say, I want to be a part of this, or I need community, how do we navigate that? And I would just say, I think you are a good story that represents the heart of the community. So y'all two, I've also wanted y'all two both here, not just for sass, but because your story and your husband, it crossed over with the Thomases in a very, and I think the reason why I love this story is it's a very, anyone can do what took place in y'all's lives.
That's so relatable.
It was in a parking lot. So go ahead.
Before we met community, my husband and I were a mess and we needed it, but we didn't know we needed it. And anyways, we moved into an apartment. We were married for probably a year, and we moved into an apartment complex. And I love hearing my husband tell this story because at the time he wasn't a believer, but he was walking outside. We were loading the car for something, and he said he heard these like this clinking noise, and it ended up being golf club.
The holy clinking.
The holy clinking. But he said it was like so loud, and it was to the point where he was like, what is that clinking sound? So he turned around, and this is not like my husband. He doesn't really like seek people out or like go. He's like, I don't need new friends. But anyways, he turned around and saw Aaron in the parking lot with his golf clubs, and you can say what he said.
Yeah, so I was going to hit golf balls. P.S. on our bonus episode on YouTube, you're going to have the whole group and be able to actually
there's
watch.
details.
There's a lot of different stories in here, but I was coming down, I was going through the parking lot, clinking my golf clubs, and he goes, "You going golfing?" And I was
And Britt was
"No."
like, obviously, oh, that was so dumb. Of course he's going golfing.
Of course he's going golfing.
I just lost my
Yeah, he goes, "You going golfing?" And I was like, "Yeah." And anyway, I had seen Britt like outside a couple times because y'all had just moved in, and I hadn't like nothing ever registered.
Yeah.
We had never talked, and so
It's like the classic like guys becoming best friends.
Yeah.
It's like, you pass and you're like, do the head nod.
Sup.
Yeah. And you pass again, you're like, sup.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you're like, hey, bro.
High five. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes, "You going golfing?" And then literally I went over to say what's up. Hey, I haven't seen you around. We introduced each other, and then before you know it, we've been talking for like an hour and a half.
He never ended
I
up
never
golfing.
even went to the range.
We were late for our trip.
Bros before golf.
So we were talking for a while, and then you can tell your part because you kind of re-enter the story.
Yeah, well, I was like, where's my husband? So I went outside, and I was kind of like irritated because we were running late for a trip. I saw he was talking to this guy, and I was like, what is Brett doing? So I went outside, and then I was like, oh, he's so nice. And then you said you were married, and I saw Addie, who is now my best
The
friend.
glowing angel.
Yes, the glowing
From the
angel. She
balcony.
like emerged from the stairs and started walking down. And I was like, is that my best friend? And it ended up being my best friend.
Literally like the next 6 months,
Yeah.
we were like with them every night.
Inseparable.
I remember.
Yeah.
Every single night. I love telling this story. Aaron was actually in my living room when I went into labor with my first child, and he was putting golf balls, and I had to beg him, like, you need to
She
go home.
actually, because I hadn't had kids yet, so I was like,
You were
oh,
like,
yeah,
she's
cool. You're in labor.
fine.
Like,
Yeah, I was having
Whatever.
contractions. I was timing them, and Britt wasn't taking
She's
it any
like,
more
no,
seriously.
me and Britt were like chipping golf
Britt was
balls
like,
down
are
the
you
hallway.
good? You good? And like doing it more. I was like, Aaron, go home. I'm about to have a baby. And anyways, we just became really close really
That's
fast.
hilarious.
Like,
So much has changed.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so-
Which is
and-
funny, full circle. You were just in his wife's
Delivery room.
delivery. Or no, wait,
no,
no,
she
sorry.
was
No,
in
by
my
Addie was in
yeah.
your
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
remind me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
she was there too. Yeah.
So what, like, to your point about like community at that point, it was very easy for
Yes.
us once we started getting to know them to be like, hey, we do this group on Thursdays. Y'all should come and like meet our other friends. And so we hosted, I think, at our apartment.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
The
next
first time I
Thursday.
came.
And
Yeah.
we went, and I could definitely see where you walk into something like that. And it's probably intimidating. Like, all these
Mhm.
people already know each other and they're related. And I don't know. I just think we wanted it so badly. We were like, we looked at it like it was so awesome. But I could definitely see entering it where it would take a lot of courage to stay or to be like, to put yourself out there and
Mhm.
want to get to know people. But
So let me ask Brogan, why? Because we have now had our story where we've moved to Austin to be a part of this community, and we're almost coming up on our 1 year of living here. And then the same week we moved here, we had history. We were college roommates. So like,
Mhm.
it was never like, I didn't care if y'all wanted me. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
kicking
got
open the
me.
door like,
I'm
There it
here.
is.
yeah, it's been 10 years, baby. 10 years in the making.
I'm
Because like the
back.
amount of times when I was single that I would drive to Austin.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I was like, it was always like,
But
on
we
my-
were all hoping that
Yeah.
y'all would eventually get here.
Yeah.
you
Praying for
loved us
that.
then, whenever you're single and come see us.
Of course.
You
That's
loved
why I
us
was.
then.
That's why I was driving to come hang with. I would like drive.
Wait,
On-
you love me?
I would like drive on Thursdays, like to come to groups.
Yeah.
And then I would stay for the weekend. And it's just so. But that makes sense. But then the same week we got here, we now have the Goldens, who are
Yes.
part of the Modern Family. That same week they moved from they were,
Florida.
Florida. Before that, they were Louisiana, and they met Brogan and Blaze at our neighborhood pool.
Mhm.
And now they're
They're like
the
in it.
most
They've been
all
there.
in people.
Yeah.
And there's like so many stories. It's not
Yeah.
like they're pretty much everybody in the group organically
Yeah.
met somebody and
Yes.
was invited in
Y'all
some
got
way.
met in a parking lot. The Goldens got met at the neighborhood pool.
You met Kelsey at work.
Kelsey,
Met at work. And so it's like, why is there never a no? Like, why do you keep why do y'all keep allowing more and more people to be a part of the friend group?
I mean, does it make it more difficult and challenging at times? Absolutely. Like, do you have to put yourself in a position to go, okay, we got to get these people in here where they begin to feel comfortable and vulnerable and not jeopardize what we've created? But at the same time, like, that is the heartbeat behind why we meet in the first place. Like, we're all trying to grow in our faith and to walk more intimately with Jesus. And he said, go and make disciples. And it's like, we don't want to be this exclusive group of people that only care about ourselves and our growth. I'm like, everyone should have this. And if you can't find it elsewhere and I meet you, I have to trust that, like, I'm supposed to bring you in. And that is the same thing that happened with the Goldens. Like, we were at the pool. I could have very easily, like, not even spoken to them, but there was something in me that said, hey, go say hi and introduce yourself. That's also in my nature. Like, I'm just going to go talk to somebody. But within moments, I was like, hey, y'all don't know anybody? Come to Thursday night at our house. Like, we have a lot of friends that get together, and it doesn't have to be scary. It's not like we have this formal meeting and if you feel good, And so, my heartbeat and our heartbeat has always been like, bring people in. They need community too.
Yeah. And I think too, just to add to that, I think it's like almost being open-handed to like what that's going to lead to, because there have been people over the years that we've invited, they've come, and maybe they like, it didn't fit for them, or maybe they had another group that they started.
Absolutely.
Hopefully they did, or they moved or whatever. And so it's like, it's just being okay with like, man, even worst case scenario, if somebody shows up and they meet like 10 new people that they may see around town or may be able to like reach out to at some point, like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really important. And also just going back to the fact that like, at some point we didn't have this, at some point we desired this, and to be able to have the memory of that and know like, I don't know what this is going to do for this person, but I know that it would be valuable for me. I think has allowed us to continue to like be open. And maybe the Lord at some point does like have a calling for some people to like do their own thing or lead their own group or whatever.
Yeah.
That's quite possible. But I do think like, if you look at the church, like that's what happened in the church in Acts, like it started expanding and people were called to different places. And I mean, so I think like that's hugely important.
I wanted to end with this question because I think this is like the heart of the Modern Family. And that's the heart of this podcast, is that we just want to invite people in. And there is no one that's not welcome into this space. There's no one that is too old. There's no one that's too young. Like, we are existing to try to send out a message and create content that all people can hopefully relate to, enjoy, glean from, and that it just encourages you. And I think that's what I just wanted to say is like, this is our attempt to now hopefully like virtually and like people states away, just say like, I hope in some way this makes you feel less alone. So I think that's like the core of who we are, is that we see people and we know community has the power to change lives.
Absolutely.
Like who you surround yourself with has so much impact on who you are. And when you start to parent and have kids, who you surround your kids with really matters. And so I hope that what this space is and what the Modern Family stands for is just an invitation to say, come in and be our friend and do this with us. Like, whatever we're trying to figure out, that's what we're going to bring you guys in on. And we just hope that you're in it with us.
Sorry, go ahead.
We all get excited. I'm like, George.
I also love that you said figure out, like what we're trying to figure out, because I never want to display this image that like we have done it perfectly, or we have this formula that we have crafted that like, if you do these things, then you will have this amazing biblical community. But no, like, it's simply that we fought to be intentional, to create friendships, and to not be exclusive. Like, we truly have never turned somebody away. And I think that is such a beautiful thing, because I've watched that happen in communities. And so to your point, I just want to make sure that people know that like, we definitely don't think that we're doing this perfectly or that we haven't figured it out.
I think it's really important to add that not only like come do this with us, like we're already as a culture very connected virtually on our phones. Like, I want this to be an encouragement for somebody to be sent out.
Yeah, go do your thing.
Invite somebody in, or like go push in to go, you know, joining some kind of community. Like, this should be an encouragement for people to see what good a community can do so that they can go do this in their own homes and communities.
Britt recently, because we were speaking about our community, it's a gift that I wish I could just package up and like give someone that I love. Like it's the best gift because like life without community versus life with community is night and day.
And that's what I hope from this episode. I think hearing in a parking lot, at a pool, like at a sports game, anything at work,
in a dorm room,
there is somewhere where you could take that step and it could turn into one of the most amazing things in your life. And so take the step, and then figure it out with us. And that's why we're here. And so Lauren has to get to a dance recital. So we're going to wrap up, but I just want to say thank you all for being here. Share this with your friends. Share this with people that maybe you want to do something like this with, and just say, hey, like I hope this is like, let's do it. And so, also, like we mentioned a couple of times, we recorded a YouTube video with everyone not everyone, but as many as we could get there, in the Modern Framily to kind of like go in deeper on like everyone's like introduction into the friend group. And it's like, it's a lot. And so
it's fun.
Be looking out for that. Follow us on social media on Instagram. I think we're going to start a TikTok around this time. So your kids can watch. And so that'll be at the Modern Framily. And I love you guys. I love doing live with y'all. And everyone, welcome to the family. We'll see you for episode 2 next week.
Let's go, baby.
Bye.